Now we're live.
We are here and everything is fine. No technical difficulties whatsoever. I'm talking to you, George. Nobody else. Why would I be? Um,
Why would
so
you?
that's fun. Music to my ears, as I was saying, that lovely little jingle there. It's been a little while, George. And since we last spoke,
Excellent.
I'm I'm moving up in the world, mate, because I got invited. We had to use, again, no technical difficulties, but we had to use personal email accounts. So things were a little bit different when we were getting set up. And I got invited to the Necromorph Slam. So that's all well and good. That was a notification I got, George. What's that about? Am I in the band? Did I make it?
No, I don't know. I think that was just because I was last signed into that. I've got like fucking three different Google Gmail accounts.
Oh well, I'm in now. I'm in the Necromorph.
Yeah, why not join?
I'm in. I'm
my
coming in. I mean, they might be looking for a left-handed guitar player, but you're on the mend. So you said last time we spoke that you were thinking about playing again. You were getting to that point where it's the time of the season, it's springtime.
Yeah, spring was. Yeah, I'll be sprung back into action.
Spring right back in. I hope you don't mind me just throwing your medical history up in the live stream. The first live stream, we're getting up close and personal.
Yeah.
So
here you go.
There you go. Have a look at that. Look.
You can't even see the scar. It's like
can't even see it. Nothing even happened. I don't know what we're talking about. We are the Pop Roach podcast, by the way. We don't just talk about phantom injuries, you know, because it's not real. It's all in the mind. Unfortunately, we are going to have to, you know, from one medical dilemma to another more serious one, we are going to have to go straight into some sad news. And the tragic passing, unexpected. I mean, unexpected to me. I don't know. I'm not plugged into what these people are doing, but Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama, 68, passed away a couple of days ago now. Leaves behind a wife, 2 children. Obviously, he's been working, doing manga and anime since the 70s. Before Dragon Ball, he had another thing that was called Dr. Slump, which I'm not familiar with, but it does have a cult following. But unlike that, I'm coming from the angle of this is the creator of Dragon Ball Z, George. I don't know if you were really into this show or if it ever kind of lined up with your childhood.
I was pretty late to it, to be honest. Yeah, not childhood. More like teens, and then like I'm an uber fan, but yeah, I respect the art form, manga in general, and yeah, this sad 68 years old, was he?
Yeah, he was still working on like new Dragon Ball stuff. Like there's new shows that are in production and coming out and stuff. Because that kind of had a bit of a revitalization the last sort of decade, where they come back with like Dragon Ball Kai and Dragon Ball Super and all these new movies and stuff, which I haven't been following. But I was like 10, 11 when I hit upon Dragon Ball Z, and that was on the classic like Toonami Cartoon Network block, you know, that was like would run from like 4 to 5 or whatever it was every weekday. And I'd never seen anything like it, George. Melodrama, crazy animal characters, you know, warriors from outer space, like insane violence and action, like all the violence and action, all the angst. You know, this was right, like Cupid just aimed this one up in the timeline, just got it. It was right for me, you know what I mean? And game changing, absolutely game changing. Like, you know, like it was how I imagine like when Star Wars came out and kids in the 70s were running around doing blasters and lightsabers. Me and my friends, it was Dragon Ball Z, man. We were summoning spirit bombs and jumping off of benches and, you know, throwing destructo discs and just hitting somebody in the head with a Coke can, whatever. It was all fun and games. You know, it was a different time back then. But yeah, again, like super formative. Like I can't stress enough how much I love that show, and it sucks, but you know, we got plenty of his work to enjoy and remember and influence us, and you know, even people like Michael B. Jordan, when he directed the newest Creed movie, he even credited Dragon Ball as like one of his main influences, and you can see that in like the fight scenes and stuff. Like it's very anime kind of geared, and you know that you know, and we've had jabs at some of the Netflix stuff, but you know, anime is kind of having a big resurgence. Not that it went anywhere, but you know, it's all kind of up and down in waves, in it, and you know, a lot of kids are getting into this stuff, and hopefully a bit more wholesome than just like your average, or you know, not just wholesome, but more, you know, there's more meat to it than, you know, maybe something like what you're getting from like a DreamWorks or a Disney or a, you know, it's a bit more cultured, George, a bit more cultured. They read the other way, you know. Pages, I was just ripping them out. I didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, I'm more of a watching of the Dragon Ball, not so much a reader of the Dragon Balls. But couldn't not mention him. So
rest in peace.
Transitioned ourselves into this, and now I've got to transition ourselves out of it. Speaking of things that are dead, George, they're trying to bring back Blade Runner. So again, how are we feeling about that, George?
I've got room for more Blade Runner.
Did you like the last one?
I thought it was all right. I mean, nice. Yeah, it did. It looks amazing. Yeah, I'm a fan. So I just got done reading Ready Player One, and there's it's referenced in that a fair bit. I don't know if I want to watch the film now because I haven't seen the film, and everyone's
okay. So
film in comparison to the book. So.
Yeah, I made the massive mistake of like it had been a long time since I'd like seen a movie like based on a book where I was like had interest in reading the book, and I was like, you know what, for this one I'm going to read the book first because I never do that unless I've already read the book first.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Biggest mistake of my life. I mean, the movie's it's a fairly generic of its time, you know, action adventure, you know, fair, and that's fine. But yeah, I'm massive, and there's a couple of really standout scenes in the movie, one of which is definitely not in the book, and it plays with more of the medium of movies in the same way that like the book does with like video games and stuff like that. So there's a couple of cool moments, but yeah, book's great, movie not so much. It kind of it just squishes it all in. There's a lot of stuff that's not in there. I mean, it's just any book adaptation, really. But the book is pretty good. It's pretty good.
It was great, to be fair. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, obviously, all the 80s references, and I'm like an old school gamer. If anything, I'm still like the biggest gamer, but I prefer like the retro stuff.
Yeah, you got like a Billy Mitchell vibe going on. I could see that.
But yeah, there's lots of 80s. There's like a Ghostbusters reference on the first page, so I was like,
yeah. I mean, if you want to be, sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, yeah, there's multiple like 80s film references, and
if you want to be really cynical, you would say that it's like it takes all these jabs at like corporations milking like intellectual properties for its own benefit in the context of a book that's milking all these intellectual properties for its own benefit. You know, so there's a little bit of that, but I mean, you know, there's no good capitalism.
You,
so
you can tell though.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. You could tell obviously the author was, genuinely like a fan of
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It doesn't feel empty. It just feels a little bit hypocritical more than it does like hollow. But it's still a solid ride. But Blade Runner, George, we're getting another Blade Runner. We're not getting Ready Player 2 or Ready Player Zero. That'll be a thing.
There is a second one, isn't there?
Yes, it got released not long ago. So I didn't love 2049. I thought it worked really well in the sense of like you might have like a cyberpunk desktop slideshow on your computer with like some cool music. Harrison Ford was like, he's barely even in it, and it didn't make a lot of money. It flopped quite severely, much like the original, and it does have a strong following. 2049, not as strong as the original, but there are a lot of people that love it, who love Denis and love his stuff, and that's fine. But it didn't make any money, and it's like just make any kind of like, you know, I think the reason that Blade Runner is so popular is because up until that point we'd only ever had like really goofy sci-fi or really like broad action adventure kind of sci-fi, and I think Blade Runner was the first time where they did something that was really sort of like, it was basically like a 70s cop drama but in the future, and you just got that one hook of, you know, the replicants. Is it replicants or duplicants? Whatever they, replicants. Duplicates is something else. Anyway, so you just got that one little sci-fi twist in there, but other than that, it's just a, you know, it's just a cop mystery thriller noir kind of situation. So just do that. Just do more like. Does it need to be Blade Runner? It's no Harrison Ford. I don't think there's any talk of Ryan Gosling. So it's just going to be a new story. Just
maybe they'll be better.
Maybe it'll be better. Maybe it'll be good. Being directed by a guy called Jonathan Van Tulleken, who did there's a new show out called Shogun, which is apparently really good. People are really digging that. I don't know anything about it, but so he's an up and coming dude, much like sort of Denis was when he was doing, well, I suppose Denis was a bit further along. He'd done a few more movies, I think, at that point.
Done Arrival already.
He'd yeah, good point. That's a fairly big movie. All right, Denis, you win this one. But this is being produced with Amazon and Alcon Entertainment, and Ridley Scott's an executive producer, which means he's going to claim his check now, and then in 6 months' time, he's going to shit talk it. Which do what you want to do, Ridley Scott. That's fine. You're free to do that. I hope it's good. I want it to be good, but
of course,
you know, I want everything to be good, but I'm not excited particularly about that.
I try not to get too excited about anything.
Yeah, I feel that, man. I feel that. Recently
anything like movies.
Yeah. No, recently turned 35 here. The excitement is draining from my face as quickly as my bladder. Okay. So let's move on to something else that I'm not excited about, but maybe it'll get you going on. This dropped about an hour, not even an hour ago, but and we talked about this a little bit before. We suspected this was going to happen. And this is Nev Campbell officially back on board for Scream 7. Is it 7?
No, it might be more than 7.
Okay, well, the new Scream movie, Melissa Barrera is out because of stuff that we won't get into, and it's questionable whether she shouldn't or shouldn't have been out, and that's another conversation for another show, another day, or maybe it's on today. Don't go and watch it though. Stay here because we're live, George. We're live. We haven't even talked about that. But anyway, Scream. Nev Campbell's coming back. Are you surprised? Are you excited?
I am somewhat surprised, but I'm guessing they just dangled a nice big check in front of her.
Of course they did. Her regular fee plus Melissa Barrera's fee on top of it.
I can't say I'm that excited. I haven't kept up with the releases. I love, like I've said many times, I do love the original film. kind of fucked me up when I was like 12. One Halloween night. I probably told the story already, but yeah, my friend had to be like taken home at like 2 a.m. because he couldn't sleep, and then I was just doing my paper round for like the next 6 months and half expecting Ghostface to come round the corner through the alleyway.
Just the same paper round for 6 months, not sleeping, just riding around like, I can't close my eyes or Ghostface will get me.
Well, that's the funny thing. I started my paper round a year early because you were supposed to be 13, and then I just kind of lied to the paper shop. And
trailblazer or victim of child labour laws? Like, let us know in the comments.
Probably check the ID, right? But I guess a 12-year-old doesn't really have ID. But yeah, that film, the original, yeah, sure. But like the last few, I've just not paid attention to. So I don't know. Maybe I'll catch up. Maybe they're worth watching. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm only one Scream movie in to the franchise, and that's the first one, which I watched, as I've said, last year. So this isn't for me yet. But I'm looking forward to getting through the rest of them. I won't say getting through them like it's a chore, but I'm looking forward to watching the rest of them.
Got a ghost face behind me, yeah.
Oh, mate,
he's wearing
quick. You better go on a paper round. So yeah, no, I mean it'll probably be a back to basics approach. They're going to spend half, like you said, they probably spent half the budget on paying her to get her back. You strip it right back down. Maybe you don't even bring back the characters who are in the last one, and you kind of we're back to the original person, and we're just going off in a different direction from there. It'll be interesting to see if any of the other cast, or if any of the other plot lines carry on over, or if they just moving on up.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll find out what is next. Okay, next is something that I'm excited about, George, and you might be excited about as well. But Gareth Edwards is being confirmed to direct a new Jurassic World movie. So
yeah,
I am excited about this.
I didn't get time to read this, but
I thought his Godzilla movie was pretty great. You saw Godzilla the right amount. It was Jaws, but on like a ridiculous scale. And I've said this before, Rogue One is the best thing that has come from Star Wars in the Disney era, possibly since Empire Strikes Back. Really like The Collector. Is it The Collector? The Creator, which I watched. Yeah, I reviewed that last year. So if you want to know what I thought about it, you can go and watch it. But spoiler alert, it's pretty good. Hence why I'm excited about this. I want I think we've spoken about this as well. I want down and dirty horror movie, Jurassic Park dinosaur movie. Just have it set in like one location. If they're carrying on from the last movie, dinosaurs are just out in the world, right? So you could just be going shopping, and then all of a sudden there's like a storm outside, right? And now you're trapped in the fucking supermarket with like raptors, and you could build a whole movie that's basically, a play off like the kitchen scene. That could be a whole movie, in my opinion. And you would have to add a little bit more flavor to it so it doesn't just feel like that, but you could just something in that scale and that tone and that vibe. And I think that's probably exactly why they brought Gareth Edwards on. Again, what he did with The Creator, where he did like an $80 million budget, which is like a third of what most of the other movies last year cost, the big movies. And it looked just as good, if not better, than all of those said movies. So do that. Practical dinosaurs, embellish with CGI, but let's get some practical dinosaurs on just a random island or a random little like town, or just in a shopping mall like it's Dawn of the Dead. That the possibilities are endless. Are you in, George?
I'm in.
He's down. He's absolutely in. And with that, what was the other story? Did we have another story, George? Says the guy who sent in the stories. Oh, there was the Fallout trailer. I'm guessing you didn't get a chance to check this out.
No, I don't really care.
No, it's fine.
I say I don't care. I like the premise of the game. I just never played the game, so I don't really know much about it other than the
I've played
that little blonde guy.
One Fallout. Yeah, the the little what do they call him? Like the little tech dude or
Pit
fun guy or the little, the bad lad or some
bad lad.
He's something, Tech Boy. Did I say that one already?
It's like Pit Boy or something.
Pit Boy. There you go.
Fucking Boy. Is it
Pip Boy? I don't know. Let us know. Correct us. Somebody join this live stream and correct us.
I've got it up. It's Pip Boy. It's a fictional wearable computer in the post-apocalyptic Fallout video game franchise.
So, needless to say, I'm not really down with Fallout either. I've played one of them, like Fallout 4. I think I played for like 10 minutes. I've had friends throughout the years who have been really into the whole series. Like through college and stuff. Always had a friend that was doing another run through of Fallout 3 or whatever. But I like you. I've always liked the premise. I've always liked the vibe of it. That old like 1940s, 50s kind of, swing time, Americana, and then like society kind of just gets frozen at that point. So when you're going through this like dystopian like nuclear wasteland, you're finding like old TVs and old radios and playing that stuff, and they really capture all of that pretty well in the trailer. Walton Goggins is in this. He looks great. He's always great. It doesn't seem like it's trying too hard to be like funny or deep or heavy. It's just kind of quaint and sort of like matter of fact, like the way they kind of just going through this like really bizarre universe where there's mutants and people wearing big mech suits and quirky characters. It's almost like the Borderlands trailer, but if somebody like just dialed it down a bit.
Yeah, that seems like they tried to ramp up the comedy a bit more.
Borderlands definitely was trying too hard. This is just right, I think.
By the way, it's Vault Boy. Sorry, not Pip.
Vault Boy.
Pip Boy is the wearable thing. Computer device.
It's the little wrist thing. There we go. Here you go. We're learning together, everybody. Learning about our Fallouts. Hopefully, this is the only time we have to do that. So this is, I think, on Amazon. So I'll check this out.
Oh, Matt Berry apparently is it? Matt Berry?
Is he?
Apparently.
Maybe he might be the voice of the robot. Actually, there was a robot
Mr.
with a voice.
Handy.
That could be a robot. That sounds like a robot if I ever heard one. Mr. Handy. That sounds like a robot that I would have begged my uncle to buy me. Please, can I have a Mr. Handy? And please, can we not ask any more questions? Give me that Mr. Handy, and I want the wrist screen on the other hand.
I've got a Mr. Handy from your uncle. From your cool uncle.
It was a Mr. Handy device. He didn't actually give me a proverbial Mr. Handy. But if you're out there, Unc, and you're watching, call me. Moving on. And I believe that brings us fully up to date, George, to our main topic.
Okay.
Are we there? Oh, fuck. Hang on, it's got to be here somewhere. No. We're talking, of course, wait for the big reveal, Dune 2 or Dune Part 2. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Feel that heat. Let the
spice.
Let the spice wash over us. Look, I've got the background. There's no green screen here. I am on location.
Perfect.
Friends, I am out there. I'm giving you the review live from Arrakis right now. So first of all, did you see this the once, or did you manage to catch it again?
I ended up just seeing it the once. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
we're back. I think we're
don't
fine.
disappear on a live stream. That's not fun.
Let's not do that. We've got a solid 24 minutes. You know, let's get to a nice tidy 45 before we crap out and get on with our lives.
Yeah, do you know what's fucked up?
Go on.
Was a 10-second delay on YouTube. So obviously you can't. I'm guessing you can't see it on there.
I do have the YouTube up,
but yeah,
in case
I accidentally turn it off and then turn it back on and again, and the volume. I don't think you can hear it anyway. But
it's
anyway,
fine.
yeah, just derailed us live. That's fine.
Doesn't matter. Derailed. We are back in Arrakis, George. So I only saw it the once.
Yeah,
we're a Bacchus in Arrakis. Bacchus in Arrakis. So where do we start? Do you want me to start, or have you want to open up on this one?
I mean, no, you can go for it, mate. Go ahead.
All right. So here's my first thought watching this movie is not many people watched our Dune watch along. Maybe nobody. However, I know one person who watched our Dune watch along, and that is Denis Villeneuve, because every criticism that I had about the first movie, for the most part, okay, maybe there's a couple, I won't say every, but pretty much all the main bullet points that I was kind of touching on during that, he addresses them all. We start off like we're straight into it. There's no like big monologue, there's no scrolling text or montage or any of this nonsense. We're back in action on Arrakis with Paul, and you can tell like pretty much straight away, like the way this is being shot is like, it's still great and like broad and all encompassing and everything, but also like you're totally like in there with him, you know, like you feel like you're next to him, as opposed to like watching from a mountain, you know, with a telescope or whatever.
You're like one of the Fremen,
yeah, you're on the ground, exactly. You're one of the Fremen. You're a person of the sand, or whatever they call them. Don't ask me anyone's name in this, because I will not know. So that's fine. But yeah, there's a shot near the beginning where he like, it looks over like a dune. I guess it's a dune, for lack of a better, you know, like a sandy cliff thing. And he's looking over, my stomach is churning. When he's fighting, like you feel like the impact and in all the action scenes, like, you know, like I found myself, and this is more later on in the movie, but I found myself doing that thing, you know, like when you're playing a racing game with your parents and they start leaning, you know,
yeah,
or like your dad's watching boxing or something, you know, and I'm watching the action, I'm like, oh yeah, come on, you know, there's a little bit of that. So I felt, my point is that I was invested in the characters, like emotionally in with the characters and in with the action and the terrain. I was totally locked in straight away. And Timothy's great in this, I think. He does a really good job at juggling, like, because it's almost like there's two characters going on at this point, because you've got like this, like he's got like the regal arrogance and like the power trip thing that he has to like utilize when he needs to utilize it, and then you've got like this humble salt of the earth trying to get in touch with the Fremen situation, and neither one of them feels disingenuous. You buy the turns. He doesn't like it. He doesn't have to beat you over the head with like, oh, I'm torn. I'm so confused. All the weight of the power and all. He doesn't do it all with the words, but he just wears it like almost like a sweatsuit. You know what I mean? It's like he's wearing the fucking steel suit. The emotions, like I thought, and I've not been the biggest fan of his from the stuff that I have seen up until this point. But I tell you what, watching him in this, I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to watch Wonka now. So I thought, so
definitely.
Obviously. But if that was the job of Dune 2 was to get me sold on Wonka, they did a fucking great one.
Oh, and 180.
What a 180. I have some other stuff that I'll get into, but like what's your sort of overall feelings going in?
Well, as we discussed before, I was I was into the part 1 anyway. Yeah. It's still very, very much, very serious, but there's some fun to be had, particularly with Stilgar. I don't know if you've seen all the memes about Stilgar, Javier Bardem.
That's Javier Bardem. Yeah, I've seen some of the memes.
Like, praising he's like as it was written, and
yeah. To be honest, I feel like the memes are a little bit forced. I feel like they're trying to make that meme happen. It's not working for me, but do go on.
Austin Butler, Fade Rafa, I can never pronounce his name.
Well, you remembered it. That's more than I did.
Psycho. Pretty well done there. Yeah, you got more of the creepy Baron. There was some things were like underplayed. Like I wasn't sure how much, from the book, it was gonna be true to. But it was for the most part. The only thing that wasn't there was the sister, Elia, the daughter. She's not in it. Well, you see her. He sees her in a vision, and is it Anna Taylor-Joy?
It is Anna Taylor-Joy. Yes. Yeah. I heard that she was going to be in this, and they announced that casting right near the release. Just straight away, I'm like, I bet that's who she's playing in like a vision. So I kind of saw that coming.
Well, obviously in the the Lynch film, it's a small child, and it is written as a small, like a 2-year-old with all the brains of the Reverend Mother, because she takes drinks the water of life when unbeknownst to the other Bene Gesserit that she's pregnant, and she shouldn't have done that, and it obviously affects the child. But that's a minute detail. It probably would have been weird if they had a child speaking as an adult, as it is in the Lynch film. It's pretty disarming. And
you end up with that creepy, like Kirsten Dunst interview with a vampire energy. I think that's a hard. That's a hard vibe. You either go that way, or you go like Hit Girl. It's like, and it goes comedy. I think it's a really hard to kind of pull that kind of character off. Probably wouldn't. What do I know?
Probably wouldn't work as well in this film. But yeah, I was into it. I did, want to see it twice, because it was just, I watched it opening night, and it was in a pretty quiet theater, but there was some loud kids at the back who were quite annoying, and it did take me out of it several times. But they didn't last like half the runtime, obviously. But still, no, I enjoyed it. I thought there was a lot more action, as I said to you, like the battle sequences. I felt like the final battle, the final fight, was kind of rushed a bit, but it didn't really need to be much longer than it was.
I'll talk about that more in a bit as well.
But yeah, overall.
So, but this is fun, because as much as I've 180'd, I wouldn't say full 180, like 160 or something from the first one. 130, right?
Too much credence.
So, however, however, it's funny because a couple of the things that you pointed out was like what I thought was some of the weaker elements of the movie. Like Austin Butler, I felt was very, like, he was intense, but it was very one note, and it's it seems like a character that we've seen a lot before, and they didn't really do anything to, like you say, they rushed the final fight, and there was that brief moment of where he's kind of like, he's all crazy the whole movie, and intense and stuff. But then there's that one brief moment where he loses, spoiler alert, you know, the bad guy loses Sumi, right? So, and then he's got that one moment where he's like, he kind of just super chill, you know, he's just like, yeah, cool, you won, like I respect that, but there wasn't really enough of that to like
warrant that,
you know. Well, not like they should have set up a bit more, like a bit more light and shade with him. There needed to be, not that he needed to have like some wholesome goodness in him, but just a bit more dimension. I could have done with an extra dimension to his character. And again, there's going to be a lot of stuff that we complain about in this, or that I might complain about, where it's like, well, that was in the book, so that's kind of what they have. But again, as you said, they do change stuff as well, so they could have added something to him other than, you know, oh, let's have him kiss the Baron. That makes it weird.
Apparently I did read an article on that where that
I know that was him, right?
Yeah, that was Austin Butler's idea apparently. But no, it's funny you mentioned. Obviously, in the book, there's so the Barons, their relationship's a bit more tumultuous and like they're not as well. He doesn't respect his uncle as much. He wants to, you know, take over his position but there's
I'm glad they didn't do that, because one of the things I like about this, but also if they did that, it would have been too much, is like the plot with all the different bad guys was all so super snaky. Everyone's like climbing and writhing to try and kind of get one over on each other, you know, between like the Emperor and the Baron, and then like the brother and or what's his name, Austin Butler and Dave Bautista, and like they're all scrambling to get one over on each other. And I think if you would have had another element of two more of them like butting heads, that would have just been like, how are these fucking bad guys getting anything done at this point if they're all, I thought there was just enough complexity with that stuff that was happening there. My main issue with the Austin Butler character is they kind of cut him off at the knees right at the beginning, because they set it up that anytime he kills anyone, it's the defenseless women in his quarters that are dressing him, or it's like the drugged guys in the gladiator battle where they're clearly all of these fights are being fixed to what, just to keep this guy under control. But then if the whole premise of this character is he's not really that good, then the whole kind of build up of the movie of this big confrontation between him and Paul, where the whole point of Paul's journey in this movie is he's fucking slaying it. He's learning the powers, he's murking like whole armies of dudes, he's disappearing, he's in the sand, he's in the shadows, like he's a fucking murder machine. And then Austin Butler's just like, yeah, well, we can't just let him kill, you know, roofied guys and sex workers, like. So they didn't really do anything there. And again, that's probably something that, you know, is just how he is in the book or whatever. But I didn't really see the point of playing up that angle if you're trying to also play up he's actually the guy you want to worry about. By the way, he gets the job from Bautista, right? They're like, Bautista, you're failing. Kiss my foot. Fuck off.
Yeah, so none of that's in the book.
And that was a little bit that was a little bit like wishy-washy or kind of rushed, that whole dynamic. But so Dave Bautista's out now, Austin Butler's coming in and he can do the job so much better. Why we think that he can, and I know they're all playing as well, like, and they're all trying to manipulate him into the Harkonnens into a different, you know, situation. But his big plan, and there's a lot of genius military strategy going on in this, his whole plan is, well, why don't we just use the artillery? It's like, why was you doing that anyway? Why wasn't you doing that anyway? There's another moment where this is the strategic military fucking combat analysis going on. So when Paul and Zendaya are working together to take down the thing, right? and then the guys all start showing up, and they're trying to get the rocket launcher off.
Yeah.
And then Paul, genius, who has no idea what he's doing, supposedly. The Fremens are like, you're fucking royal bullshit. We don't want to you can't fight with us. You're not good enough. And then Paul's like, have you thought about what if, groundbreaking, I go that side and I distract them, and then you go around that side and shoot them with a rocket launcher? Really? That's his fucking big master plan that they didn't know, masters of the fucking sand, and that who take down sand crawlers for fucking breakfast, and they've never once thought, why don't we get one of us to run that way and then the other one goes round that way? Like, I learned that shit when I was playing tag in the playground.
Flank them. Yeah.
Flank them, exactly. Why was that such a big deal? You know, there's a couple of things like that where I'm like, but having said that, the action and the combat was all really well done, miles above the first one. The one-on-one combat was really hard hitting. The stuff with the armies was really cool. That they did that bit where he was like popping up and taking them out one by one. That was really effective. You know, just the general like armies and the stuff. Because in the first one, it felt like there's like a dozen people and they've just spread them out, you know, and it wasn't really for a movie of such scope. The battle scenes didn't really reach the levels that the other visuals did, but in this one I thought they totally remedied that.
Yeah, it's also there was a point like when I first read the book, I know this is a minor thing, but like when you hear of is it Gurney, Josh Brolin's character?
Oh, don't get me started on that guy, but go on.
Like you see him briefly like playing his instrument that they refer to as like a balisette. It's like a 9-string guitar. I was like, oh, you didn't see that? And then he's literally there for like 2 seconds. He's like, you know, sings his little song before he gets off the.
You know what? That did catch me off guard. It was literally, like you say, it was like a 2-second shot of him playing the thing, and then I was like, is that a thing that he did or does? Or
there's a lot more like there's passages where he in the book of songs that he sings.
Oh, it's all Tolkien like, is it? They all have a sing song.
Oh no, it's mainly just him. Well, no, actually, I think Paul does at some point. He teaches. He's taught Paul. You know, Paul's like, you know, the typical regal royalty child.
It makes sense to me that Josh Brolin's character in the book is one who is supposed to be more of like a world building kind of, you know, gateway kind of character, because there is none of that in this movie. He literally they just drop him in. I forgot, like I thought he died in the first one. They just drop him in like a good half, maybe like even 3/4 of the way through this movie.
I think you are led to believe that he's dead.
Yeah.
Bounty hunter or not.
But they just drop him in, and he's got 92 nukes, 92 convenient nukes.
By the way, these are your dad's nukes that he never used.
Literally, that was the only reason he's there, is to give them an extra bit of firepower, because it wouldn't have been enough, because, you know, where this movie ends up, they need to be set up not only for this final battle, but they need to be set up for the next hurdles that are coming presumably down the pipeline in Dune Part 3. Spoiler alert, there's probably going to be a Dune Part 3. Is it Dune Messiah? Is that what they call it, or whatever?
Yeah, I need to look into the books, because there's a lot. I think there's only one other book that Frank Herbert wrote himself.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. But yeah, there's going to be more films, obviously. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of the journey of, you know, what these characters are doing and how they're like skirting over stuff, a major chunk of this movie, right? So Paul meets up with the Fremens, right? And they say, you're never going to be a Fremen. The Fremens will never accept you because of who you are and what you represent and what you think you are and all this. They will never, ever accept you. Next scene, the Fremens accept him. They're all hugging him. They're bringing him in. They're loving him. Absolutely. They bring him in. He's a Fremen now, but they say, all right, Paul, you're a Fremen, but we will never teach you how to ride the sandworm. That's the one condition. You can be a Fremen, but we will never teach you how. He will never teach you how to ride that worm like he does. And then bang, next scene, he's teaching him how to ride the fucking sandworm. For a movie that is so long, and especially the middle chunk of this movie really does start to drag and sag a bit. And for how much time there is, they skirt over so much of that stuff, and sort of like the change in dynamics between some of those characters. Not just with the Fremens, but also with the mum. Like, they drop her off. She's like, I'm gonna try and like work my way in and be the mother superior, whatever.
Reverend Mother, yeah.
Right. And then for a good like 40 minutes of the movie, we don't see her. And then the next time we see her, she's like the leader. She's fucking got the shit on her face. She's fucking.
It's because she drank the water of life.
Yeah, but I would have liked to have seen more of her like trajectory from there to there, because I thought Rebecca Ferguson was really good in this. I really loved her. She has some great lines where she kind of gets like snarky and like bitchy, and you know, she's a little bit conniving, but also, you know, she's got like, she's doing it for the right reasons, but she's still a little bit of a loose ticket in some ways. And I thought she was one of the best performances in this. I would have liked to have seen more of her and more of that in the middle. Somebody else who I thought was great was Florence Pugh, because I was like, she's hardly in this movie at all. And as much as I'm complaining about other people not being in it so much, Florence Pugh in this has like 3 scenes, and she manages to, she conveys that the whole emotional arc of that character. She conveys, I think, perfectly in those scenes, and I think she's surprisingly one of the standouts for me.
Her character, Princess, was it Ulan? Literally every chapter of the book starts out with some sort of some piece written by her in reference to what's going on. And I wondered who that would be. I think she's briefly in the first film.
I don't think she is.
Maybe you see her once. I don't know. But no, she delivered a good performance. I was concerned when I saw Christopher Walken as the Emperor, billed as the Emperor.
Touch and go. He was touch and go.
Yeah, he didn't take me out of it too much, but like, you know, his delivery was still very much him. It was
quite subdued, I thought.
Yeah, it was
for him.
Yeah.
Still, if anything, I would have liked him to have. It was still there.
Fully him.
Did
make me chuckle the first time I heard him speak, like a little bit.
If anything, they could have given maybe him a little bit more of like a little bit more personality, a little bit more flavor, because we don't really get a lot of time to like hate him or, you know, have any kind of feelings about him when we get to like the payoff at the end where, you know, he kind of gets like brought down, and we don't. And like how in the first one, you know, you don't get a lot of the Baron, but he's in your head. Like, you remember him, he's all disgusting and oily, you know, and everything. And they do things with the way that he delivers the lines and the way they frame him and shoot him that like makes him like linger. And so then by the time we get to this one and he's getting taken down, you feel that, but we don't get enough time or personality from the Emperor to kind of. And again, I don't know if he's going to be more if we see any more of him or in the next one.
I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't read.
So maybe there's more to it. Like, hopefully the bad guys continue to like scramble and keep like getting on top of each other, because that was one of my favorite things about this.
Sorry, yeah. Obviously, it's a massive spoiler for especially anyone who hadn't read the books. But what did you think of the reveal that the Baron was the mother,
Okay,
father
yeah,
of
yeah. So
Jessica?
there, I mean, you know what? It was surprising and not in a good way, because it's just like, do I need to watch another fucking science fiction fantasy where it's like, but wait, I'm really someone else? Scooby Doo, a Scooby Dooja, you
No,
know?
that's just the thing. It doesn't really change anything about who he is.
That's what I mean. It doesn't
It's
really, it doesn't have an
about
impact, and it just felt like, I thought Dune was better than this. I thought it was highbrow. I thought it was lofty, aspirational,
I'll
you
throw a little
know,
bit of soap opera in there for you.
just a little bit. Yeah, I was like, oh, that felt unnecessary. Like, you know, he got like a white foot or something, you know, like
why has he not got alopecia?
this is like at least like one little bit, you know, just like he's got one patch. Maybe he's just got no
No
pubes or something.
eyebrows.
Yeah, just one eyebrow. But yeah, it didn't really affect me any which way, to be honest. It didn't really take away from it that much. It didn't really add anything either. So it's fine. And again, maybe there's more to do with that can come into play down the line, which I'm all about it. So yeah, love it. Again, I thought some of the transitions, I thought because like I said, how Chalamet balances really well between like the sincerity and like some more like humble and light-hearted moments and stuff. I felt he done a really good job of balancing that. I don't think the movie overall did a great job. There were some moments where Javier Bardem would just come out with something like, you know, right after like a really brutal, like the mum, like you think the mum's just died, and then he just comes out and he's just like, and
yeah, he was a lot more jovial and like, yeah,
and I felt like his character in that regard was kind of, you know, synonymous like for the movie overall, really. Sometimes there's you know, the kind of the lightheartedness kind of comes out of nowhere, or somebody will kind of go really somber out of nowhere. Zendaya, by the way, that character probably does this in the book, but she flips like a fucking light switch.
Oh yeah, no,
like she's on him. She goes from hating him, you know, like not, you know, a little bit less than the other Fremen, but she's still like, I'm not fucking with you. But then again,
she's far more salty and flippy in the film than she is in the book. She's more like just she understands her, you know, her position.
She's so quick to fall in love with him. Then they spend ages in the movie bonding, loving each other, having a relationship, and then she's like, oh, what, that one thing, and fuck you, like that's it, there's just no. And then she turns on him again, and it just felt like the performance and the writing of that character didn't quite. There's one time where they lined up for me, and that was at the end where Chalamet says, Paul goes, I'm going to take the Emperor and I'm going to have you as my wife. And she's like, you fucking what? Like, the look on her face, she's like, considering she's just like jilted him, like, I don't want nothing to do with you. I'm going on my own Fremen journey or whatever. But then when he said that, she's like, you could tell, like, nah, she still cares. That one moment was really fun and really effective. But yeah, it just didn't quite all the way get there for me, that character, unfortunately. And the movie is pretty good. Are we ranking? Are we rating? Are we and then you got anything else? Are we missing anything major?
Not that I can think of, really.
They could have done a little bit more with the sandworm riding. Like I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, but they're probably saving more of that for the next one. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I'd see more of them in that big battle sequence, but yeah, it was pretty.
Cool when there was like three of them.
How it showed how they, But how it showed how they extracted the water of life, and they had like the baby, the little sandworm. That was pretty creepy.
It was creepy. By the way, Mum doesn't even question or doesn't even think to go, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant. Is this going to be okay? She's just like drinks it. And she's like, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant. Like, is this going to be fine? It's like, ask that first.
No,
yeah. But whatever. It's fine. Yeah, no, the little sandworm is fun. All I could think about was the popcorn bucket, though. All I could think about was the popcorn bucket. I'm like, that's about the right scale, the width wise, whatever. Why didn't they do a water of life fucking Gatorade drink, or like tie it in, and then you could suck the Gatorade out of the worm like the thing, like it would have been much better as a cup holder than it would a popcorn holder, and then you could have worked in.
Should have had you on
marketing people. I'm telling every movie I will promote you to an extra $3 guaranteed. But no. Overall, we'll rate it. So I go like a 3.5 or 3.8, a 3.8 out of 5. What's the measuring stick here?
Sandworm.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 baby sandworm shot. 3.8 out of 5 baby sandworm shots. And yeah, I think there could have been a bit more action. It definitely dipped in the middle, but it was still engaging, and it's definitely better than a lot of the sort of big blockbusters we've had in the last year or so.
Yeah.
So it gets a 3.8. If this would have come out, 5-6 years ago, would I have ranked it as high? Maybe not. But yeah, 3.8. You did it, Denny. Good job. See you at the next one. George?
Yeah. I'm going to go. Yeah. Is it 4 sandworms? This is why I wanted to watch it, because I did really enjoy it. I wanted to watch it a second time.
Oh, that's what I want to say. Sandworm skis to travel around on baby sandworms, strap them to your feet, right? And then you just ride along like skis.
So
and
the big sandworms just think it's other sandworms.
The sandworms think it's just other sandworms, and you're making a little extra spice as you go.
There you go.
I've been working on this.
I'll go 3.9.
He's knocked off a point.
Not quite 4, but yeah, close enough.
Sorry, my thing about the sandworm skis knocked the point off, and I've fucked it all up. Once again, I'm ruining it for all the Dune fans out there.
Are we going to knock this in under an hour?
We pretty much could do. I mean, yeah.
Nice and tight.
I was gonna. Yeah, no, that's good.
I think we had another watcher at one point, but yeah, well,
maybe they popped in or out. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was gonna ask if you anything else that you'd been up to or watched or been checking out that you wanted to finish up on.
Well, you watched old stuff, to be honest, lately. What did I watch the weekend? Watched Mandy. Showed my girlfriend Mandy for the first time.
Happy days.
It's weird.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Yeah. One of his better ones of the last decade, though.
Got Cage.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else did I watch? I watched Terrifier again, which you haven't seen.
No.
Pretty brutal film. I'd recommend it if you like your gore, like your horror. Probably one of the most sadistic horror, antagonists. Closest thing to, a slasher icon we've had in the last 10 years, 20 years, maybe.
Yeah, there's a few. They're popping up.
He's nasty though. He's proper savage. But yeah, anything you've watched?
Well, so I watched the docu-series. I've watched a few of these, but I watched one on Netflix about the flight MH370, the Malaysian plane that went missing in 2014.
Yeah.
Which I was partly watching for, research on something that we might have cooking up, hopefully in the near future. However, it didn't really go into any of that side of it, but it did go into a lot of other sides of it that were also interesting, and that was a fun watch. And then that's on Netflix, and then there's a short docu-series called Encounters, which covers the Zimbabwe case from the 70s, where a load of kids from a school supposedly, had extraterrestrial contact. And it's like a 3 or 4 part mini series, and each episode was like an hour on like a different case. There was one which was set in Wales in like the 50s, because apparently there was an RAF base there at one point that was probably significant. Anyway, so I've been watching a few of those documentary type things, which isn't normally what I get down with in my spare time, but I've been enjoying those. And then last night I watched Poor Things with Emma Stone and the director, whose name I'm not going to try and remember or pronounce, but he's the guy who did The Lobster, and they've had a string of some indie art films that are generally considered good, but also a little bit divisive. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Anyway, Poor Things. I was like, I'm going to watch this before the Oscars, because it's like it was just one of the few Oscar films that was on the nominated list that was just available for me to watch. I was like, I'll watch one of these, and I wanted to watch it anyway. So it's like a weird coming of age Frankenstein story. Willem Dafoe is basically like Frankenstein, and Emma Stone is basically like the creation. Origins of which become apparent throughout the movie, so I won't get into those. It's pretty good. Mark Ruffalo is insane in this movie. He is so funny. He's like this really like chauvinistic, like European playboy character who comes into the situation and kind of upsets, the status quo for Willem Dafoe, and and this girl who up until this point had been fairly like secular and whatever. So then yeah, and then Emma Stone, this Bella Baxter, goes on this, it's coming of age, it's got some body horror in it, it's got a lot of sex. It's basically like if you were learning the world, George, but like it's like a woman's sexual journey, but it's like a metaphor for just like a person becoming more like socially aware and politically aware. As you get older and like you just learn more layers of the world, right? And you kind of just see more and more parts of the picture, as it were. So it's that, but yeah, done as like a sort of really weird, artsy, sex comedy almost. So it's pretty fun. It's on Disney Plus at the moment, which I know you don't have, but if you do have access to it,
I would consider getting it to check out. Because I showed the girlfriend What We Do in the Shadows, the film.
Okay.
Last week, so I was like, I think you might enjoy the series. So
yeah, you might have another binge.
I've heard good things about Poor Things. So yeah, I'm definitely more intrigued after hearing your thoughts on it. So
like I say, it's really good. Like I say, Frankenstein coming of age. Yeah. It's weird, and Emma Stone did win the Academy Award for Best Actress. I haven't seen any of the other performances, but she's really good. She's really good, but we've seen this kind of performance before, where it's like an actress who kind of just, it's fearless, just gloves off, everything come off, by the way, just balls to the wall, like fearless performance. Bella is just this kind of like manic pixie dream girl, you know, with the mind of a child, kind of, you know, like if you've seen like a Ex Machina or a Species, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I was thinking Species.
It's and obviously
Frankenstein.
this is a far better movie than Species. You know, it's a different kind of movie. You know, and this is fantastic. But we have seen you. It's a lot of recognizable elements, but it's put together in a very fun way, and I would highly recommend that. And
Cool.
other than that, yeah, to give a little bit of sizzle, watching those documentaries. Maybe we've got a, you know, an extraterrestrial themed episode coming up. We don't call them extraterrestrials anymore because they might not be, but we'll get into that another time. Might be the next episode, might be the one after that. We're working out all the details. We know we've kind of slid from doing every
Paddy's
week.
Day coming up.
Paddy's Day coming up. We've definitely got something. I'm really excited for people to hopefully watch that. I think that's good. So, you know, follow all the socials, Pop Rose Podcast, X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Leave your comments, find us, get checked in. Thanks for watching. If you did, click like, click subscribe. Go check out the band Necromorph. You can find them, or don't.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, is there Goss?
There's no Goss.
Oh, okay. I thought I'd just blown something wide open. I felt awful there. I was like,
oh, no more. No more.
No more. Fucking them old creative differences. They come out and they bite you like a fucking crocodile, don't they, motherfucker? Nah, that's fine. I'm sure everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
catch us in Camden.
Why did this happen? Go and check them out in Camden. But why did we split up right after I joined the band, George? I feel like there's something going on there.
No,
it weren't me, everybody, and they're still going. It's going to be fine, and we'll see you here all around on the medias in another time, in another place, maybe. Peace.
Peace. Bye.
Bye.
What?